Welcome back. Iraqi fighters from the Hashid Shabi paramilitary group have discovered underground tunnels built by Islamic State militants outside Fallujah, indicating how desperate the militants are to enter the town. The militants reportedly used the tunnels to approach and escape the front line to reduce their casualties after 70 of them were killed by US-led coalition strikes.
The militia were said to have used the tunnels to approach and escape the front lines to reduce their casualties. One of the longest tunnels surrounded a brick factory. The final battle to recapture the Islamic State stronghold near Baghdad will start in days, not weeks, according to a Shiite militia leader, as news reports of people starving in the besieged Sunni city have emerged. The first phase of the offensive that started last month is nearly finished, with the complete encirclement of the city that lies 50 kilometers west of the Iraqi capital. On Wednesday, the Iraqi security forces and police said that they have had early successes after launching the major offensive against the Islamic State. The Shiite Popular Mobilization Forces and Iraqi Federal Police, who are part of the military operation, have pushed several kilometers into the city from the east. Government officials said that engineering teams have cleared roadside bombs and booby traps, as well as IS snipers from the recaptured areas. The Iraqi government says it has taken steps to help evacuate and protect the residents of Fallujah as it continues with an offensive to retake the city from the Islamic State. Starting Monday, Iraqi security forces, along with paramilitary troops and tribal fighters, and backed by US-led coalition airstrikes, have been pushing a large-scale offensive against IS to regain control of Fallujah. The city, once populated by about 300,000 people, has been under IS control since early 2014.
This past week was historic for the United States and Japan. President Barack Obama made that long-expected visit to the city of Hiroshima, the first city to receive the atomic bomb during the Second World War in 1945. President Barack Obama was the first U.S. president ever to visit the Hiroshima bomb site. U.S. President Barack Obama's visit comes at a time both countries desire to forge closer ties as the U.S. leads a campaign to make sure rogue nations do not get their hands on nuclear arms. His visit to Hiroshima, however, is seen as a symbolic gesture both countries hope would highlight their alliance and breathe life into efforts to abolish nuclear arms. On August 6, 1945, during the Second World War, the U.S., with the consent of the United Kingdom, dropped a uranium gun-type atomic bomb, otherwise known as Little Boy, on Hiroshima. 16 hours later, then U.S. President Harry Truman called for Japan's surrender, warning them to expect a rain of ruin from the air, the like of which has never been seen on this earth. 3 days later, on August 9th, the U.S. dropped a plutonium implosion-type bomb, Fat Man, on the city of Nagasaki. Within the first 2 to 4 months of the bombings, the acute effects killed 90,000 to 146,000 people in Hiroshima and 39,000 to 80,000 people in Nagasaki. Half the deaths were said to have occurred on the first day. Large numbers died in the following months from the effects of burns, radiation sickness, and other injuries, compounded by illness and malnutrition. While the United States never issued an apology to Japan, Harry Truman's grandson, Clifton Truman Daniel, who became the first member of the Truman family to visit Japan during the commemoration of the victims of the bombings in 2012, said in an interview published during the anniversary of the bombing, he did not know that there will ever be an apology, and maybe the two countries could find a language that brings them together to say, quote, "You know, we acknowledge the serious hurt was done on both sides, and we own that, and going forward we pledge not to do something like that." But that he does not feel there will ever be a flat-out apology from the U.S. to Japan or the other way round. In a solemn yet brief ceremony, President Barack Obama and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe each laid a wreath. In his speech later, the president avoided any direct expression of remorse or apology for the bombings, a decision that some critics had worried would allow Japan to stick to the narrative that paints it as a victim. Survivors said earlier an apology from Mr. Obama would be welcome, but for many, the priority was ridding the world of nuclear arms, something Mr. Obama addressed in his 15-minute speech.
Mere words cannot give voice to such suffering. But we have a shared responsibility to look directly into the eye of history and ask what we must do differently to curb such suffering again.
Analysts in Japan, however, say President Obama's trip to Hiroshima is another way for the Japanese government to further strengthen its alliance with the U.S., but that if the U.S. president apologizes, it will send the wrong message to the international community that Japan, the only country that suffered an atomic bomb, is not an offender, just a victim of war. This is where we end the program this week. Join in the conversation on foreign policy on any of our Twitter handles at Diplomatic Chan, at CTV_Amara_Ubani, or on Facebook.com/Diplomatic Channel. I am Amarachi Ubani. Thanks for watching.